off with, "Welcome to the bench." Fucked it up. Had a good hype going. We have a great show for you today. Let me introduce our guests. What happened to Roland? Where did Roland go? We've got
I don't know.
Roland,
He's
the
here.
completely dark screened, and Technopop, the sleeping. What happened to Roland? Where'd he go? Oh my god. Why? Why is he not there?
I don't know.
You guys can hear me,
I
Okay,
right?
now he's there. I don't know what that was about. We did it. We did a tech check. We did a tech check. Did you log off and log back in?
So remember when you were like, all right, we're going dark? My dumbass was like, okay, we're leaving. And then I was like, wait. I literally stopped and I was like, no one else went to go and reach for it. And I was like, maybe if I hop back in, no one will notice. And then clearly, yeah, you noticed.
I was like, I just assumed I did something wrong because that's usually true. So I was just like,
no,
what I do?
not technically.
We've got a great show for you today, as I was explaining, sort of. Today we're going to talk about, rub some dirt in it. We're going to talk about injuries and injury prevention and health and fighting and keeping yourself healthy, hale, and hearty and all those kinds of things. That's the plan. You know, that's what we're going to do. Let's look at our agenda. Horus, I noticed that I talked a whole bunch in the last episode, so and you didn't get a chance to, so I'm going to let you read the agenda so that, you know, 'cause this is your show too.
Okay. So who are Techknowe and Roland? Do you want me to read the whole agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go over who are Techknowe and Roland, common boffersports injuries, which we will reach out to the chat to ask for some more, although I think that we probably have them all at this point. Safety equipment, best practices to prevent injuries, lifestyle, diet, and exercise, and what are we doing next week?
Hell yeah. So let's start things. Oops, we don't want to hear from chat yet. Let's start things off with Roland. We're gonna learn about who is Roland and tell us who you are. Wait. Pause. We have an ad break right now. We're gonna wait a minute and 20 seconds for you to tell us who you are, if that's okay. Because I want you to have your
Time in the
platform.
sun.
Yeah. So instead, we're gonna try to check off as many of Brazen's check marks as possible. I don't know. I can't randomly just come up with a dick joke on the fly. I think that was one of them. Horus Flex.
Horus Flex.
There it is. Was that one of them? I don't know if that was one of them. No, that wasn't one of them, unfortunately. Does somebody have to fart?
It hit so hard in the nipple Olympics that it bled.
Jesus.
Roland, you remember Kai?
Which Kai?
Renaissance Fair Kai?
Yep.
He chopped his nipple ring off with a sword.
Oh my god! Oh.
He was talking mad shit that day. I didn't even try. Like, I wasn't trying to be mean to him at all. But he was like talking a lot of shit that day, and I just like we're fighting, and you know he does these movie scene stuff. Like, I don't thought
he was not dressed the way we are dressed. He was like shirtless, dressed as a barbarian in fur, with just a nipple ring just sitting there. And Horus.
To be fair, I was also dressed as a barbarian. Like, I just had a tank top on, but yeah, and I just chopped her head off.
Oof.
I was like,
we're gonna talk about that time too, because one of the injuries that I have to talk about is when Agnar almost cost me the sight in my left eye.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a fun time. Those weapons were not safe.
They were not at all.
Well, we're off the ad break, so Roland, take it away. Tell us who you are.
Got it. So I am Sir Roland. I started fighting in the winter of 2007-2008, where my first practices were in Muxlovia out of Romeoville. I would fight out of Lodaria in Yorkville. So those were my first practices. First event was at Wolfpack 2008. So February 2008. 2009, I would end up joining Dagger here, or I would should say it's my first time I started fighting Dagger here, and it's my first time cross gaming because I joined a unit in 2009. I joined a Dagger here unit, joined the Black Company. I would spend about 4 to 5 years with them, one as their captain, where I would consistently hit Olympics, Rag, and Fest. I left them after my 1 year. After pretty much 5 years, I left, and then I ran as a free agent until 2021. So super long time, about almost 5 years as a free agent, until I got my full bird in BOF. During that free agency, I went to school. Pretty much, I went and got my degree. That was kind of the whole reason. I didn't really want to jump into a unit. I didn't really want to mess with any realms, although I was around Morva and done horror a lot. And then my 1 year pledgeship with BOF started in 2019. I moved to Colorado the next year, 2022 or 2021, sorry, which was where I started to get into Amtgard. It's where I've met Kurai that we've not. Iron Mountains are great. If you guys want to get really good really quickly, go train in the mountains. I'm telling you. So yeah, that was my first time with Amtgard. It was my first experience with Amtgard award systems and the idea, really kind of understood what a warlord was. Got my 5 orders of the warrior, the fun stuff like that. And then I actually really started to develop a love for tournament fighting, which I do not like in Bell. I just don't enjoy the tournament culture in Bell. But switching over to Amtgard and their tournament culture, I couldn't get enough. So I would definitely do that again. Shortly after getting knighted in 2023, I returned to Chicago. So I had squired in 2017, so just under around 10 years. So I think 9 years and some change. I got picked up as a squire, squired for about 6 years and 1 month exactly. Got knighted at Oktoberfest 2023. So this Oktoberfest will be 1 year. And that brings us pretty much to here, because immediately after that I moved back, and I'm trying to be a lot more active now in the Midwestern scene again, because that's where I come from.
Nice. I'm going to take it to chat and see if anybody has any questions for Roland or stories or statements. Brazen said that she was retained to you at one point.
She was. Early in my squireship, the kind of as a goal to get me starting to look towards the next generation of people who will take up, Guts wanted me to pick up a retainer, or at least start looking for one. So I approached Brazen, and she kept up with it for a little bit, and then we kind of expected it that we weren't expecting that whatever retainer I was going to pick up wasn't going to stay with me all the way through, which isn't what happened, and that's totally fine. But yeah, for a period there, we were definitely talking about that, and she was explaining her goals for it, which is great.
And I have a question about BOF. So, as somebody that came, started in Amtgard and has a good chunk, you know what I'm going to ask.
Oh yeah, come on. Yeah.
So, is there a link to the Corsairs? Nope. None. Okay.
None. So, okay, for any Bell
it's the
people,
same fucking colors and symbol.
No, it's not. It's crazier than that. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So, for anyone in Bell, the Corsairs, first of all, besides being batshit crazy, the rumors I've heard are they used to knife fight, actually knife fight. Anyways.
No comment.
Either way, it's crazier than that. So if you take BOF and Bell EBF, and they were to have a baby, that is what the symbol is. Because we are a single-headed bird, and EBF is a double-headed bird. The Corsairs are our colors, gray and black, with a double-headed bird like EBF.
Okay.
I have talked to all of the creators of all 3 units. No one has any connection to each other by any books, media. No, it is I do not believe that it's true. If it is the craziest coincidence in the game.
Wild.
That's nuts.
Absolutely wild. So my first go ahead.
My first Amtgard event or a tournament, I remember I was I like to fight very clean. So if I feel it, I take it, yada, yada, yada. I remember someone walked up to me and told me they were I couldn't believe it. You were fighting very clean. And I was dude, why is the Corsair fighting clean? This is beyond. And they're like, oh, that's not a Corsair. I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it is."
There's a meta commentary
geez.
there that I'm not going to
There's a
touch.
whole bunch, yeah. If anyone's a Corsair, please, I'd love to talk to you. But you guys don't have a great reputation. I apologize. I'm only regurgitating.
I know some Corsairs. I can link them up with you at some point.
Please.
So my first Geddon, I remember walking by BOF camp, and I'm like, "Oh, Corsairs!" And they all looked at me like they were just like looked at me like, "Shut the fuck up, dude!" Like they have heard it enough, and they
That's
were done.
so funny.
No, so like some of the newer people in the unit had no idea what I was talking about. But like when I talked to upper leadership, because I was like, hey, should I not wear my flag when I'm out on amp guard, or like what should I do here? They all knew about it, and they're like, yeah, you kind of do what you want as long as it's not going to cause you any problems. It's fine.
Makes sense. So tell us about the headbutt.
So traditionally, when you get knighted, you receive a slap. Yeah, like we Horus sees where this is going.
Yeah.
So a lot of different knights are different, a lot of different squire. It's kind of up to the knight and squire. I've heard it as the last slap that goes on answered, different ways. But like really, before you transition from a squire to a knight and they knight you, you get slapped across the face. My knight was the knight of punk rock. If you've ever met Guts, you kind of get that a little bit. The person who knighted him was Sir Piper, also very punk rock. So Piper headbutted Guts. So Guts felt that it was necessary that I also get headbutted. The problem is that Piper also felt this. So at my knighting trial, I got a Piper and a Guts headbutt pretty much right back to back in front of my mom and partner.
Nice.
Yeah.
What? My baby!
Cut me open. I'm not kidding. Again, we're going to talk about that and why I feel like it was not safe, but like I did it in the safest way possible and how you can too. And that kind of touches as to why I feel like I'm qualified to discuss this type of stuff because I've been doing this type of crazy shit for a long time. I worked as athletic training in high school. I worked in EMS. Before I went into my degree in music, I was studying as a physical therapist, and it was either path, honestly, and I still keep up with it, go to the gym, stuff like that, just to try to stay healthy, so that I can do things like eat a Piper headbutt and a Guts headbutt back to back, and not die.
So going to the gym prepares you for eating a Piper headbutt.
Yes and no. Something that we'll talk. Something I have to talk about. Yes, it can under the right circumstances.
All right.
It'll never hurt. We'll go with that.
Last statement. Somebody said you're allegedly a incredible DJ.
I am. I DJ'd for Chaos Wars technically twice. I DJ'd for them. Technically 3 times. Twice actually. They right when COVID hit, they had a online Chaos Wars, and I DJ'd for that as well, so for their stream. And then I DJ'd for Bifter one year. So I was actually trying to DJ for Monster Mash this weekend, which everyone should go to. However, I just moved back from Colorado, getting my gear unpacked, and it just wasn't going to happen, unfortunately.
Fair enough. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Roland. And up next, we're going to talk to Technopop. Technopop, take it away. Who are you?
My name is properly, but maybe one day I'll teach a class on how to say the name. I'll put that over there. I don't need that right now. Technopop. Started fighting probably about 20 years ago, somewhere around there. I don't keep track of time entirely correctly. I have to look things up. Squired about 5 years later to an Amp Guard Knight who has chaptered out into the SCA now. And then knighted a few years later, but that's a long story and strange.
Who's the knight that you were squired to originally?
I was originally squired to Sir Disciple.
Oh, wow.
Out of Florida, but since then I don't much talk to him anymore, but I do talk to his brother who is in the SCA. And I claim the belt line through him instead.
Okay.
But As far as I know, I am one of the first monster knights of the Southeast. My brother Boomy will tell you I am the first, but I'm not sure research has been done into that really hardcore. I've only had one unit in my entire career. It's the Ravenous. I am a Mournival of the Ravenous, so I have to herd all of the Mother Wolf's children. That's a headache sometimes. Most people know me for stabbing folks and running games. If you've ever been south of the Mason-Dixon and thought there's way too many rules for this, that's probably my fault. That and the jackass with the didgeridoo at 1 a.m. My qualifications for this episode are that I'm a regular dude that does nothing special to stay healthy, but still has working knees and elbows. Okay. And I'm over 40.
Fair enough.
Ow.
Proper qualifications. Because I can't claim that, so so that you're one up on me. Two up if we're kind of both a knee and an elbow.
I started fighting in Dothan, Alabama originally.
Okay. That's right. Don't let this fool you.
All my family sounds just like this right here.
Okay.
Or worse sometimes. But that's a whole nother biscuit over there. Which sometimes I'll affect the accent when I go north just to be funny. There's something about a marshal who says, "All right, now y'all get to the spawn point and get ready. We're going to fight for 35 minutes. 35 minutes. Yeah, that's what I said. I got a stopwatch. I'm known for having a watch and keeping time when I fight. I very much like timed fights and 30 minutes worth of fighting. 45 if it's winter war because it's cold. That's why I always tell people that one of my symbol of my knighthood is the vulture. Vulture likes dead bodies, and when there's a respawn point, there's more dead bodies everywhere.
So I've heard Winter War referred to as the house that Techknowe built. Tell us about that.
So Winter War started out in Rude Creek, Alabama, as like 30 folks by this old head knight named Sir Frayson Grey Gently. He is out in Texas now, still bopping around a little bit and doing a little swinging foam stuff, but mostly out of the scene. Then it moved to Dragon Hills in Georgia, and he ran it for the last time. And that was about 10 years ago. I took it over, and other than I think 1 or 2 years in a transitional period of who was running the mundane side of things, I've run it since then. And for the past 5 or so years, I've had a co-head marshal, Upir, Kitty Pop, another lemur. Yes, I am the lemur as well. Hence the in the name. But they and I have been running it one day each for the past 5 years, and it's got nothing but bigger. I think our largest numbers are about 1,000. So I know we broke 1,000 one year, but I ran battles for 2 years ago at Genon as well. I'm running battles again this Genon. Hi. That's gonna be fun. At least one day. So y'all will see me there yelling at people through a megaphone ridiculously. They'll get used to it. Winter War has always been nothing but respawn battles and nothing but timed, hard, you need teamwork to win battles. I don't do line up and fight. Ditch happens for 30 minutes a day to team balance. And if I've already got my teams balanced, I will split your unit for this battle. And after this battle, you can come talk to me and find volunteers from the other team during water break so that we can rebalance numbers. But especially people that join with like a whole bunch of archers. So Winter War has always been mostly an even fight and just a slobber knocker. And that's what we wanted for it. It's the biggest event in the Southeast. Come and have fun. We have a castle. We've got a castle.
So I'm going to open it up to chat to ask you some additional questions. While they're piping their question in, I'm going to ask you about being a lemur. Tell us what that means.
Lemur is the southern Dothan grown monster race. It started with Molly Pop. Cursed long be his name. And the original lemurs were a whole motley crew of just Dothanite punk goth kids. You had Mollipop, Heteropop, the most manly and beautiful of all lemurs. Let's see, Hobby Pop, Cherry Pop, Tiny Pop, Not a Pop, who is a pop but is not a pop, and then Retread. Those were the original crew. Retread was special, but we started a monster race in the South to poke fun at everybody who took it too seriously. And since then, I've decided that Lemurism is the beginner monster race, if you want to be simple about it. Anybody can be a lemur. It's super easy to get. It's super easy to get rid of. If you want to write lore for it, it's fine. We think of it as a disease that passes on through many, many different ways. The most common being I probably vomit into your hands. We are known for being incredibly gross, but consentingly so.
Nice. So let's see. Pickles EBF says, not a question, but Mr. Pop was very helpful to me online recently and wanted to say thank you.
That's what the Zur is all about.
Heck yeah.
How can I help you?
Now, from Jukoryu1234, are you Team Gnome or Team Knight?
I have no idea what Team Gnome versus Team Knight means.
We might need some clarification on that one. Next question is, what's an impaler?
The impalers are something that spearmen, not polearm users, specifically green-only spearmen, are attempting to set up as an equivalent to Blade Master. Why? Because our game needs more accolades. We need more things like Amp Guard, more brownie points to give to people for doing a good job, and more brownie points for things that are not combat related. Impaler is combat related, but I have strong feelings on that topic. You're talking to a knight that never took a combat trial, ever. And I will refuse to do 100 fights in the sun of random people. Nope. That's dangerous. Okay. But that's a topic. And we're setting our trials up and going to start from there and try to teach people what the difference is between stabbing people and just hacking limbs off, because disabling somebody has its place versus killing.
So from Chromium Plated, what was your trial like if it wasn't combat?
Run an entire day at Ragnarok with no medic calls, no holds. And the bonus icing on the cake was I pissed off Rome so bad they left the field.
Nice. Tell us that story.
They didn't listen to the rules when I told them they had an entire town map and that was their town gate. Because the game was set up where you captured points through the town and went deeper and deeper into the town. They set up at the last point and decided that was the best. And then when they got rolled over because everybody took the points and they were just defending the last one, they hated it. So they left. Everybody else, next round, gathered at the front gate and had a badass time. And eventually they all got to fire ballistas at people. Oh, wow. And they were really happy about that.
Horus, did he win bowling for Rome if he managed to get them to leave the field?
I mean, that's not what bowling for Romans is, but I was just thinking, like,
on that topic, I have knocked Dominus off of his feet before.
Hell yeah. That's like, I think you get extra points for knocking Dominus down.
I believe that's double points.
There you go.
I don't know. It's been a while.
It's a multiplier.
All right, heading back to our agenda, we're going to talk about common boffersport injuries, and let's start off with Roland and see what's your take on the most common boffersport injuries we see.
I feel like that there are some that we probably don't need to spend time discussing.
Okay.
Like us in this chat. I mean, I think that we should definitely bring them up and we should discuss them to a point. For example, and they're the ones that we've all heard before, right? So our knees, obviously, based on what the rules of this game, and you lose a limb and you take a knee. Sidebar to that, I believe that posting was the best rule that has ever happened to Bagar, and I will continue to do it forever. But because of posting is a relatively new rule. We got a bunch of old timers that have knees that just aren't right. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, everything that's within the shot path, and improper shot mechanics. Definitely, you're going to start to tear up shoulders. Definitely going to start to tear up elbows. Definitely start to tear up wrists. I think those four, everyone sees. Whether or not you've been in the game for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, you're going to see these four. And I think that if you have been in the game for any amount of time, you are probably going to have heard of these from your realm leader. And if you haven't, I would venture to even say that they're not doing a good enough job, and you should be made aware of them, because I think they're that important, because everyone's going to have them if we don't do anything. All of these, I feel like everything else we're going to discuss, and I'd love to hear your input on this, would be everything else is kind of a maybe. This might happen to you. It could happen to you. Here's where we could go. These four, if you do not address them early in your career, you will end up with issues on these four.
I slightly disagree on the posting, because we can bash people and you can't tell from a distance at bash whether or not they're posted or not. Mm-hmm. And that's my only big boggle with that. I will also add that with proper body mechanics, years of using proper body mechanics to throw shots, especially very, very hard, you begin to have to worry about your back. And
yeah, and I was considering that as well. This could just be I have not experienced a lot of back issues in my world. And I was literally thinking, like, my back hasn't gotten injured, and I've injured most parts of my body doing this game. I have a few people like Fergus from Black Company had the worst back issues I've ever experienced, but he was a paratrooper at one point. So, like, this game is physical, and coming into this game with a back that's already a little bit weak, you definitely are going to, yeah, you're right. That is still within the shot chain. My thinking is, coming from a fresh-faced 18-year-old, which I started this game at 18, right? Like, how are we going to best service those individuals? And it's going to be telling them, hey, you have a body right now that doesn't pop when you stand up, that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like,
wouldn't that be nice?
Right? So, like, if you do not handle these four, like back, I agree with you. I think that's very important, but I think that's a case by case. I think every single human being, no matter what body type, body size, body whatever, by nature of what our game is, this is our occupational hazard, right? Wrestlers, we used to have knee pads, right? Basketball players are using ankle, like those are their core occupational hazard injuries. And I think that for us right now, I wanted to get out of the way that these are our four. And I want to make sure that we kind of agree on that and hear input if we don't.
Okay. Tech, let's hear from you. What do you think the most common injuries that you see are?
We have usage injuries and lack of equipment injuries. Hands, of course. Again, hands, elbows, shoulders, knees. Like, those are the big four. Like, I only mentioned back because Glaithman, like somebody who's dedicated polearm, who's using proper body mechanics throughout their entire career and only fights with poles and reds, that's where things are going to begin to wear and tear a little more. At least I feel, but I could be wrong. I'm not educated on the topic at all. This is just anecdotal evidence, everything that comes from me.
Oh, yeah. On that note, I'm not a medical professional. I don't think any of these folks are medical professionals either. So, we're here giving our opinions as veteran of the game and serious fighters. We're not medical professionals. So, absolutely consult with your doctor as the number one, source of truth as far as, like, who you should listen to. But continue. Sorry.
And the one thing that pops into my brain is just honorable mention for eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And it's not that the eye injuries happen often. It's that when an eye injury does, the potential for it to be is higher.
Yeah. I almost lost all sight in my left eye because of an eye injury. And to this day, I still wear Ray-Ban Wayfarers because I'm stupid. So eye protection if you're worried about it, because I've got two different stories where I can think of right now. Myself and one of my brothers at BOF, like, he tore his cornea. I just had a hyphema where there was blood pooling in my eye. There is no eye injury that doesn't make someone make that noise.
Yeah.
Is
Horus.
licking an injury?
I don't think so.
Horus, you got the floor.
I think that these are, we've talked about a lot of the good ones, or the common ones. Eyes, you're gonna overuse in joints, especially if you're not wearing good knee pads, going down on knees. I do really like the posting rule. It is an issue, it is worrying if you get bashed and you don't see it coming. I do like posting because if somebody's gonna run and bash you, you can just kill yourself and walk out of the way. Whereas if you're on a knee, it's a bit harder to do that, even though you can still call yourself dead. Like they might not stop. I don't really love. I've bashed people before. It's kind of fun. I'm not super in love with bashing people who are legged. Period. Checking them, pushing them over, sure. A couple steps, that's fine. But
Well, it's illegal
running
to
into
bash
them.
leg people.
Yeah, that's true. But that's again, like, if with posting, it does sort of make it hard because you don't know. And like I think that checking a posted person to just like push them back so they take a step back and kill themselves is like a perfectly legitimate strategy. But again, I'm not really super into tackling people because the other injury that I would bring up that's fairly common is concussions in Belagarth. I really think that, we talk about arrows being the most dangerous weapons because there's kind of sharp bits that can hit you and stuff. And, I've got hit in the teeth, I've been cut in the face by an arrow and all that stuff. But I really think that reds are just, and spears to some extent, are actually much more dangerous because you're much more likely to get concussed by either of those things. And we, swing at people really hard with them. You can have somebody swing, hit you in the side of the head really hard. They can swing, hit you in the top of the head really hard. You actually almost hope you get hit in the top of the head. It's a lot less bad than getting hit in the side of the head. But my worst, probably my worst Belgarth injury is at a Ragnarok. There was some very not cool person, and he seemed like he just wanted to hit people in the head because he ran up to me with a foam hammer and just swung it straight at my head. Jesus. Sideways. I've got my shield up in between my head and that's probably why I didn't need to go to the hospital. And I woke up on the ground instantly, but I have no memory of hitting the ground or anything. I just was on the ground, and I knew it was right after because I snapped into attention again, having been standing. Now I'm down, and I see him swing again, and he hits another guy in the head.
Jesus.
And thankfully that guy happened to be in Wargar, and the whole unit was there, and they saw this guy doing that, and they grabbed him, and I never saw him again. So
Good.
by hand cannon, they took him out in the woods, and he was never seen from again. But hopefully he just got kicked out of the event because it was super dangerous, and his foam hammer, I don't think, probably passed because it really sucked to get hit with. It felt quite heavy when I got hit with it. So yeah, concussions, very dangerous. Not uncommon at all. Really, that's one of the reasons that I like that the game has gotten much lighter weapons. Back in the day, it used to be much easier to get injured. You smash your thumbs. Actually, I have a smash thumb right now. That's another common one. It's not so bad, but it's not a fun thing to do. Also, people losing their toenails if you're fighting barefoot. And then also, it's probably not as common because people don't swing low as much, but getting hit in the testicles is not fun. I think I've said this before on this show, but I have it permanently in my chart that I have testicular pain, and it just never goes away. I never know when it's going to happen. It just happens. There's nothing else wrong, but it's for life, all because I didn't wear a cup one day after I had already started wearing a cup. So we'll get to that later too with safety equipment, but highly recommend that one because you can get hit once and it's just a permanent injury. It's not like it hit in the arm. I've gotten hit in the arm or the leg or the body a million times and no problem, but one time it can just be terrible.
We definitely talk about. Go ahead. Sorry.
Along that line too, contusions and bruises. I saw someone in chat talking about knowing your body. There's first of all, there's no amount of acceptable impact to the testicles. That's not but concussions, and we obviously discussed that. the concussion protocols for a headbutt aren't really in place, but it comes from a place of kind of knowing your body, right? Like I have had multiple concussions and I've never been to a point where I didn't know I was concussed, right? Like I remember I worked as a bike messenger at one point and my dumbass wasn't wearing a helmet and the wheels kicked off from underneath me, head hits the pavement. I popped up, I looked guts directly in the face and I was like, I'm concussed. He's like, no way. And I was like, no, you feel it. There's a feeling there. So knowing your body, I think, is very important. It's the difference between knowing whether or not you maybe just got your bell run a little bit and you're fully concussed, and it's the difference between knowing whether or not something's just a bruise or if it's maybe something you should be worried about, right? Because without that knowledge of your body, something that you think is nothing, I'm just sore, you could be really hurt. And I think that people definitely need to be a little bit careful.
I'm gonna mention a few of the, before I take my turn, I'm gonna mention a few of the injuries that we've seen in chat here. So Balder Brash says, after getting a concussion during my first amp guard practice, I kind of have a massive fear attached to playing. So that's first practice, getting a concussion, that's pretty rough. Zoe says, I've injured my back multiple times, have a bad hip and knees. I'm working on getting back in shape. For the time being, I'm just going to practices. There's been recommended a few things to help reduce chances of getting injured. I'm new to this stuff, but I did take sword classes, but I had to stop from injuring their back again. Hopefully we can give you some information today that'll maybe help you out a little bit. Let's see. Someone also said, Brazen said that their buddy Zeal was hit in the nuts by Tempelhof, which gave him soft tissue damage and required years of physical therapy. Oof. Chromium Plated says, I ruptured my calf muscle at an event once, had my leg black and bruising from knee to ankle, and still have a permanent divot in my calf. What the fuck? God.
Divot.
And then probably my favorite comment of all time. Not really, but it's funny. I don't recall any concussions from Dag Bell. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
And that's a big problem with concussions. I think a lot of people don't know the symptoms immediately.
Yeah.
And the symptoms for concussion look like the symptoms for fought too hard or are too hot. And they just don't know. That's a danger.
Yeah.
Maz has had multiple concussions and dislocated both shoulders. Jesus was hit in the head, or Jesus was hit in the head so hard by a red that he suffers from seizures and has brain damage. That's rough. Wow. That's super rough.
Proper footwear. Proper footwear,
Yeah,
proper footwear, proper footwear. Ankle injuries are no joke.
Yep. So I've had various times that I still go in and out where my elbows or knees are trash. I was completely sidelined from elbow pain when I was doing my Warlord grind. And I think I was like one tournament. I had won one tournament and I was excited and I was ready to go. And, then my elbows were really rough right before this tournament. So my partner at the time gave me like this massage on my arms, and it was a terrible idea because then they like locked up. And then I had to take like 2 months off completely from fighting because my elbows were so bad. I ended up having to go to physical therapy. My right knee currently is complete trash, so I'm a habitual poster for that reason. Definitely had some concussions. I remember doing a bridge battle, and this was like 2001 maybe, so there were some weapons that just had duct tape covers on the field. And somebody canned me right in the head with this big heavy halberd made out of thick-walled PVC.
Baby, no.
Duct tape foam. And I remember seeing it come down, and then I remember being on my knees and kind of rebooting, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm alive, sure, And then there was a spring war, an Amp-Guard spring war I was at, where I'm frontline with a sword and board, and I have a hockey helmet on. All right, I'm being safe. I got a hockey helmet on, and the guy behind me was this guy named Spindrift, which any of the Amp-Guarders will probably know exactly who that is. He's throwing glaive shots over my head, but he's using my head to stop his glaive so that he can pull it back and hit more people. And it was like maybe about five or six of those through my helmet, and I'm just like, hold on, man, I'm feeling a little woozy, and I'm certain I was concussed after that.
Man, if I could go back in time and throw some of these people off the fucking field.
Yes.
Right.
Pretty sure Olos broke my hand once. It was just me and him fighting at some park, and this was a while ago when Olos was pipe swinging, and Olos threw a two-handed red shot, and I knew I couldn't anvil, so I kept blocking it out with my hand, and I had a glove on, but he just hit my hand with his red so hard I felt something give, and I was like, oh, I think I'm done.
Olos was a good red there for a while too, so those are probably some stout.
Those are some
stout shots.
Hits.
Yeah.
And then every time I get hit by Batman in the solar plexus, I feel like I'm injured. I think that just every single time. I'm sure there's more injuries that have happened. Let's take it to chat. Well, we took it to chat. We did that already. Let's hit up the agenda here. We've got safety equipment.
I actually have one more that I feel like we need to talk about.
Throw it. Oh, I have one more too, but go ahead.
The sun, guys.
That was mine.
Oh yeah.
The sun. First of all, I promised my dad I was going to talk about this one. So my dad's eye doctor saved his life. Because he was sitting in a chair and getting his eyes checked, and his eye doctor went, "Hey, so I'm not that kind of doctor, and you might not want to listen to me, but you should go get that mole on your neck checked." And it was cancer, so he got it removed. Bunch of people who are affected by that, and yet I will still see someone like one of my brothers at Genon who didn't put sunscreen on and just turned about as red as possible. Lobster style, like sun poisoning is it's not just like, oh, it's funny, look, he's really burnt and uncomfortable. Like sun poisoning will get you, and it will contribute to heat exhaustion, it will contribute to heat stroke, and you will turn into a heat casualty so much quicker.
Yeah. Didn't somebody die at Rag because of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Techknowe process for sunblock. Number 1, alcohol your skin. Just like for makeup. Just like for makeup. Number 2, small dots rubbed all the way in when dry. Reapply 30 minutes later. Don't trust the chemicals and wear a cloth over it as well. I am no hair, and I'm neon white.
I think between sunscreen and water, if you listen to nothing else, I think in this podcast, sunscreen and water, period. Because everything else we're going to talk about, I think is going to, over time, will make you uncomfortable. And I think my goal being here, hopefully for Technopop and your guys, is to get people fighting when they're 40. I think that these two, like Horus said, someone died at Rag. These are the two that'll get you for real. And take them seriously.
You know, for chat, there were numerous extenuating circumstances, but
still,
that day was incredibly hot, and that was the last straw on the back.
Yeah.
I've actually been hospitalized twice for heat dehydration issues while fighting in the past couple of years. Last one was like 2 months ago, maybe something like that. It was terrifying. Here's a story. Remember after our first podcast, I was like, well, I'm gonna go play some lightest touch LARP this weekend. I don't remember if you remember me saying that to anybody. So I went to the lightest touch LARP, and they said that in their rule set they said they don't allow wrap shots, and I was kind of like crabby about that, so I left. And within maybe 2 hours of me leaving, unfortunately somebody else passed away at that LARP that day that I was at, and I'm pretty sure it was, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think it was definitely heat related because it was like 90 something degrees. And then last week he was on the left when I had my tribute. Sun will get you for sure.
Cursed day moon.
Yep. we brought up sunscreen, we brought up hydration. I think along with springboarding off that, I think along with not just water, at some point you have to have electrolytes coming in too. You know, rehydration packet. Just make sure you're getting salt, you know, of some kind, because, you know, when your body runs out of electrolytes, you're not absorbing that water. You're not using that water, you know, as effectively. So I think, you know, some kind of electrolytes probably, you know, has to be in your routine of staying hydrated as well. What's you guys' take on that?
I think that's spot on. I think you should be doing water, Gatorade, although sometimes I'm not a big fan. Sir Mellon at one point got me on the Pedialyte train, and I have been real about that. Also, like beef jerky, I feel like any food, nuts, various nuts, anything that's got protein and anything that has salt, I think is going to serve you very well if you're trying to stave off any type of sun or heat related injuries.
I'm a big fan of the additives to the waters. They're like adult pixie sticks. You can just crack them open and eat them. You got to be able to, you know, choke the powder down. It's a little more than a pixie stick, but, you know, it's delicious and electrolytes.
Liquid IV is my favorite. Liquid IV is my favorite one.
I'm not sure that you're probably going to get injured if you don't, like, get electrolytes, maybe over a few days, but you're probably fine fighting all day. Your performance might not be as good, so it's probably still a good idea because you'll fight a little bit better. But you'll still hydrate if you're just drinking water. Gatorade has a little bit too much sugar in it. Like, you do want some sugar in your water because it improves the rate at which your body absorbs the water, because you absorb water through your stomach still, and then when there's sugar in the water, you're basically like the absorption is better because your body really wants to absorb the sugar. And then if you're getting electrolytes, you want to do those all at the same time because you'll absorb all of them more. I would, if you are going to fight all day, and again, this is not going to probably take you out as far as an injury, but you should probably eat something during the day. I don't know that you need to, like, protein at the end of the day is definitely good. You got to repair all the muscles that you're ripping apart, swinging your arms and legs around all the time. But during the day, I would eat something that's like, you don't necessarily need to eat something that's going to give you energy all day. Like, you're using your energy constantly. So, like, you know, if you like, I eat like Mike and Ike's all day and shit, like, you can just eat pure sugar because you're just like, you know, crushing through carbohydrates doing this. There's no way that you're fueling yourself solely on fat when you're running around doing Belgarth or Amp-Guard. You're winging both your arms around, your heart rate's getting up really high. There's no way that you're in fat burning mode for the most part. So definitely eat something, but water is the big one. Like, please drink water. If you're really hot, pour it on your head. It works faster and it works better than actually drinking the water, but you should also drink water too, because when you pour it on your head, it evaporates really fast. When you drink it, it only evaporates as fast as you sweat it out. So if you're going to over-index on something at an event, make it be water.
Pickles says that, did you know that cream of tartar, I don't know if it's tartar or tartar, I think it's tartar, the baking additive is almost pure potassium and will prevent muscle cramps.
No, that's pretty cool.
Didn't know that. That is interesting.
And then Sage mentions thermotabs, which have calcium carbonate, cornstarch, some things a lot of things that are difficult to pronounce, but sounds like I don't know what a thermotab is, but it sounds like maybe something to look into to help with, you know, hydration balance and that kind of stuff.
I try to stick more towards like more natural option. Like thermotab, I will absolutely try it, but it probably won't work into the routine.
Okay.
It's got sand in it.
It has what?
Sand in it.
Sand in it? Awesome. Yeah, like cream of tartar, like maybe it's got sand in it. Who knows? For me, I will always prefer a banana, although tartar might have a little bit more silica and awesome.
So outside of hydration, you know, what exactly was our topic here? Was safety equipment. Outside of hydration, you know, we talked about hands, we talked about gloves. You you know, and we can assume maybe there's some people listening that are new to fighting, or you know, not super stick jockey. So like, let's talk about what you each look for in a good pair of gloves.
I am so happy you brought this up because I feel like the hand injuries, while they still exist, this is kind of one of those injuries that we have as a game, we can effectively eradicate. Like it just doesn't have to exist anymore because we have good gloves. The glove technology exists. Um, I I've been fighting for a long time. I have not had a hand injury in almost 5 years now. Ever since I started wearing lacrosse gloves very religiously. Um, and even then, I had a small issue at Armageddon. I took a shot a little bit weird, but that's because I transferred over to those like floor hockey gloves. So different padding. Took a shot the same way I took with lacrosse gloves. I needed to make an adjustment. After that, it's been fine. I think gloves are the thing that will stop any type of hand injury. Me personally, like I said, I used to be a lacrosse glove. I've moved more towards those good floor hockey gloves now.
Okay. Tech, what's your take on gloves?
I feel the same about lacrosse/hockey gloves. I look for gloves that are the most protective but cost effective, because say goodbye to them, they're gone.
Mhm.
Like as soon as you put them on and fight with them, no amount of gloves will ever save you from a red shot. Ever, 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 ever. Period. And the one thing I want to mention about gloves is something that people don't think about. Gloves are padded on one side; they're not padded on the other. That's why hand blocking, like you can hand block, but if somebody swings really hard, don't hand block them, because it doesn't stop the handle from breaking your bones down here. Especially for polemen who like to just block everything and or try to hand block again, don't hand block a red. We used to use the MMA gloves, and those were okay, but they still, the fingers are too far out. One of the weirdest injuries I've ever seen was someone was wearing full gloves and somehow or another, full hockey gloves, caught the sword this way, and all of their nail beds bled.
Oh,
Yep. You're welcome.
Oh fuck, dude!
That's brutal.
This is gonna be the physically cringe
Reminds me of
episode.
that guy that was doing steel fighting and got all his very
That's
tips
why
of
I'm
his
here.
fingers
Body
chopped
glove.
off.
So no amount of gloves are going to always protect your hands. I tell newbie fighters, don't buy weapons, buy knee pads, buy gloves first. Always. And
Somebody give you weapons.
our hands are our livelihoods. If you can't use your hands, you probably can't make money.
I think that comes back to what I was like. If you're not aware of certain things like this, then I would venture to say that your realm leader is not doing his or her job.
Horus, what do you look for in a glove?
In gloves, I mean, pretty much lacrosse or hockey gloves are good. Like, I try not to get the really big ones. It's not that they're like less safe or something, but I actually think that if I have a smaller glove, not only are people going to complain less about it blocking off part of me, but I'm not going to think my hands are invincible. And you're still going to not do stuff that you shouldn't do. I haven't bought new gloves in a long time, actually, so I don't even know what people buy anymore, because they had Brian Superglights on sale for like nothing, and I bought a ton of pairs of them back in the day. So I'm still wearing those. But yeah, if you get a deal on gloves too, then they're like $20 a pop. Like, buy all of them. Like, they don't like deteriorate real bad over time unless you're getting hit with them. So definitely get gloves, wear them. Another thing that is, gloves don't, like Techknowe said, they don't protect everything. So like, there are a couple things that you should also do even if you're wearing gloves. One, not everybody's going to do this, but if you cut your nails short, just in general, do it before practice and do it before events for sure. The longer your nails are, the more likely it is. Like, I let one of my nails get long and I smash my nail every single time. If your nails are really short, you're not going to smash your nails nearly as much. Yeah, those are great.
I cannot find these for sale anywhere else. These are my favorite gloves I've ever owned because they are lacrosse and hockey gloves, but they also look like fucking armor.
Yeah, they do.
They're so cool. They're like
beautiful.
articulated. Oh, that's the one thing that I would say is that your gloves, though, like those, you want them to be full fingered because you're gonna get smacked in the edges of your fingers.
Yeah, those
So,
are dope.
full finger gloves are important. Really, like if you should, when people hit you, you should not feel their swords through them. You shouldn't like feel pain in your hands. And the other thing that I want to harp on that Techknowe already said too is like, please don't block reds. Another thing in at least in Belgarth is you have to hit people harder in the shield to break their shield. So I get that there is a game incentive to block that shield breaking shot with your hand, but I am swinging way fucking harder at your shield than at your hand. If I swing and I think I'm going to hit your hand, I'm going to swing way lighter than if I swing at your shield, because a lot of people, I know there's a Belgarth Confessions where people are complaining that people take too light of shield shots. Can I show up to your realm? Like, I've never experienced that. People like make you like hurt them practically with their shield shots to make like take the shield strikes. So I'm not trying to hurt people, but I am going to swing really hard at your shield to make sure that you feel like it's a shield breaking shot. And if you stick your hand in the way without me being able to pull it, you're going to get hurt, especially if you turn your hand over.
Oh.
If I don't hit you in the hand and you get hit in the here, your wrist is doing this. You're going to break your wrist, and I can't save you from that. And like there are people that hit a lot harder than me, and they're also going to be doing the same thing when they try to hit you in the shield. They're going to hit you harder than if they were swinging on your right side. I like if I hit somebody hard in the hand with my red, I say sorry. Like I don't want to hit people that hard. I want them to know that I'm not trying to hurt them when I swing at them. So like, yeah, please just eat the shot in your shield. It's not worth your hands. You get to fight again next round. Like just keep fighting. Don't break your hands to try to win one fight.
So Jukoryu1234 says, if I'm hearing correctly, lacrosse is better than floor hockey, which is better than MMA. However, any padding is better than no padding. I would say honestly, like, find the gloves that make the most sense and feel the most comfortable. When you put on that pair of gloves and you hold a sword in it and it feels right, those are the right gloves. You know, and obviously we can argue all day and just say like, well, you want to have as much protection as possible, but I think as far as, you know, there is a little bit of compromise. I would rather use gloves that, you know, maybe aren't quite as like they're not the best of the best in terms of protection, but they feel right in my hand. They feel right with a sword in my hand, and it's not going to hinder my sword fighting in any way. And a good way to justify that from a safety point of view is to say, you know, if your gloves suck and you don't like fighting in them, you're not going to put them on. You know, you're going to be like, oh, I really need to win this fight. Let me take my gloves off, you know. So that's why I think it's important to have gloves that like fit really well and you know, you can fight without feeling hindered.
On that note, if you start fighting with gloves, you won't have that.
Yes.
Like I have almost always worn gloves, and floor hockey / lacrosse, those two are even. It's all about personal preference. I would steer away from actual hockey because those are way too bulky. Yeah. I've worn actual hockey gloves when I fought some SCA for a little while, but it's about the feel, and I've gotten to where that's a whole glove. I'm wearing it. I will force myself just to put it on, and I'll forget about it as soon as I start swinging shots and actually get into the flow of fight. So I have just trained myself to put on anything over my hands. Conch shells.
Elle has a question that says, you know, she asks, for strap shield users, what do you do about a shield hand glove if it doesn't fit under the strap? That's the case with me with my dome. I don't wear my glove when I have my dome shield on. A little risky when it comes to like if I get armed and I have to fight with my left, but for the most part, like that shield is safe and comfortable. You know, I feel, you know, safe enough when I have the shield over my left, and I just have to be good enough I'm not going to get armed, you know. That's what I do. Some people wear smaller gloves that'll fit within that handle. You could widen your handle out a little bit. Any takes on that from you guys?
Why?
As someone who fights strap shield and started fighting with my bulky lacrosse gloves, I built my shield to accommodate my glove, kind of specifically. And then the glove the problem I had is that the glove stayed with the shield. So it's part of why I moved over to floor hockey. So to the previous point, I don't necessarily also agree that lacrosse is better than floor hockey, considering I switched from lacrosse to floor hockey.
Make your handle big enough and train yourself to shuck your shield by opening your hand but closing your thumb to hold your glove in place, and then shuck your shield down to the ground.
Yeah. Definitely make your, no matter what, even if you can't like get your glove out of your strap when you're doing that, make your shield be able to fit your glove so that if you do have to drop it, if somebody's attacking you, maybe just don't magic switch, just like don't put your hand at risk. But then if you do have time, like just drop it on the ground, pick your glove up and put it on one-handed. Like if you use your glove a bunch, it's not going to be that hard to do. You know, grab your sword and get going from there.
Apparently Whoosh doesn't use gloves and hasn't for 18 years or something like that. He says that he just can't find a glove that he feels comfortable with. I want to recommend something because I struggled at first when I started wearing gloves because nobody wore gloves back when I started fighting. It wasn't a thing. So what I started doing was I take my glove and I take like a razor, not while I was wearing the glove, but I'd cut the palm and like little holes in the fingers out of my gloves so that it was my hand that was contacting the sword. I felt the sword in my hand and I can feel the handle and stuff like that, and I didn't lose that connection. At this point now, it's fine. I can wear gloves and I don't feel like I lost anything, but that helped me really transition into wearing gloves, was that I was able to maintain that skin sword connection, by cutting the palm out of my gloves. What's up, Tech? You got a question?
I had a brother do the same thing. The only thing that he added was he athletic taped the tips of the fingers down so it would stay there.
Makes sense.
But
yeah.
he fought that way for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do want to add, because Trogdor just did this recently, and I thought this was genius. I can't believe nobody thought of it earlier. But if you do have a strap that your glove doesn't fit through, like on my shield, on pretty much all our shields, like I could get my hand out with the glove. I just couldn't get it through the strap. And what he did is he just added a, what is that called? You press it?
Lanyard?
Yeah,
Or
like a snap or a latch, like on his. It's like the car seat one. I cannot think of the name of that.
Buckle?
Yeah, like a quick release, but like a seatbelt. Like he basically just added that, and so when he pulls his hand out, he just clicks it, and then it drops right off of him, and then he doesn't use his shield for the rest of the fight anyway. So
Nice.
by the time he gets back, he just puts it in there, puts his arm against it, snaps it back in, and goes.
Heck yeah.
Good idea.
So one more question about gloves. Slough cuffs. How do we feel about slough cuffs? Do we cut them off or do we leave them?
I don't really care if you leave yours on. Like, it's a safety equipment, whatever. Like, you got to know that if you get hit in your cuff, you die, and it's going to be harder to feel hits to the cuff. I cut mine off. I do something else for my wrist because I don't really feel like the wrist needs as much strike protection. Just most of the time when you get hit in the wrist, you're not getting hit in the wrist to where that's what was gonna save you from something. The wrist is the bigger issue, is that you're gonna get like jostled around when you get hit. So I cut mine off. It's not that hard. Just get a seam ripper or rip it off.
I hate the way the glove feels with the slough cuff cut off, but I actually cut it off because I know that people will aim around it, and I feel like it gives an unfair advantage to me. I absolutely hate the way the glove feels, but I just, fuck it. I get used to it. That's another part of that.
So when I was rolling lacrosse gloves, I definitely cut mine off. Mostly for a feel, and for exactly what Horus was talking about. Like, I didn't get very good wrist support out of it, so I would use boxer wraps with my lacrosse gloves. I have the Milek floor hockey now. I don't really have a need. They're not really a slough cuff on there.
Yeah.
Use Milex?
I use Milex.
So do I.
They're my favorite. They're the best glove I've had, and like that's what I mean. Like I was lacrosse glove and then popped over to Milex, and I've never gone back. But my only issue, I cut mine off because of a me thing, right? I think I feel better fighting with it. I will have an issue when someone gets angry at someone else who doesn't, right? Like if the same reason I'll be like, well, that person and their flail or whatever. I'm sorry, if you're coming up with reasons as to why you're upset about this person on the field, it's a you thing, Doc. It always will be. The fact that whether or not my opponent has or does not keep the cuff on their lacrosse glove will never play a part as to whether or not I beat them. And it makes no point to me to get mad about it, especially about it, what Horus was saying. It's safety equipment. I don't know if they've got a wrist issue and they're concerned about taking a hard wrist. I don't know. And at the end of the day, they're safety equipment. I won't get upset at that any more than I'll get upset that you're wearing a mouth guard or eye protection.
Yeah. And also, like, if you really have a problem with someone, like, probably, like, a problem to begin with. And, you know, if you hit somebody and you think you hit them in the wrist, you can always ask them, like, did I hit you? And they're going to be like, yeah. And be like, where did I hit you? And then be like, in the wrist. And then be like, that's a target. And they're like, oh. And then they did die or lose their arm because they were, you know.
Yeah, I would venture to bet that a lot of the people that are like, I hit that person, you only think you ought to hit him in the wrist.
That too.
Because I have never had someone where I'm like, I know I hit you in this body part, to where I did not believe that I could do that again at will. If I know for a fact, to the point that I'm willing to get upset that you're sloughing me, I know I can hit you there again. Like, it's because it was that obvious and it was that blatant that it's because the skill gap is different. So I just getting upset at someone for wearing slough cuffs, the name even makes me laugh. Like it's crying is all it is to me.
So I have a hot take on this.
Sure.
Yes.
I think that in Belgarth, somebody wearing slough cuffs, totally fine. Doesn't bother me. I would never tell somebody not to have, like, to cut their slough cuffs off. In Amtgard, I'm saying something. If I know them, especially, I'm going to be like, hey, you should think about cutting those off. Amtgard's just a, so for people that don't do both, Amtgard has no weapon weights. Minimum. I literally swing in a 5-ounce sword. So, like, in Amtgard, the fighting can be a lot faster. There's also no light. There's butter, there's bullshit, there's all these things that make a shot invalid, but light is not one of them. 5 ounces is not heavy for Amtgard. That's a really good sword. Thank you. Yeah. It doesn't get 4 ounces. You will not find a sword lighter than 4 ounces. You will not. So
that's not even a point.
But point being is, like, it's faster, it's lighter. I think that a lot of times, a shot pop over the right over the glove into the stick out on the wrist. That happens for sure, and slough cuffs are going to interfere with that for sure. So I think, Amtgard, I'm going to run my mouth. Belgarth, I'm going to be like, that's reasonable. Yeah. There's a lot of heavy things that happen at Bell. So, like, if you want to keep those cuffs on, like, that's fine. I forgot to go. I wear Milex too, actually, Roland. I wear Milex Mark 1s exclusively. It's got a very, very small profile, which I like. It's got leather as a hand, and so I feel like I'm not losing anything when I grip my sword because of that leather. The one thing, and I have a link in the chat if people want to pick those up. The one thing I don't like about Milex is they stink so fast, so easily. Yeah, that leather picks up your sweat and it smells. I mean, it smells bad.
I wore them at 2 events and they're already pretty rough.
I'm gonna drop another link in the chat. I have to give credit to Ferrix for this. Ferrix showed up at an Amtgard practice once, and they had these stupid blue nunchuck looking things, and I was just like, okay,
Decent.
what are those? And you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find these. Oh, they're there. Okay, I'm gonna drop another link in the chat here. Ferrex showed up with these nunchucks, and they're made out of, they're an odor eliminator, and it's like they look like these blue nunchucks, and like you put these herbs that come with it inside the nunchuck, and both the seal on the metal itself is like antimicrobial and odor eliminating, and then also the herbs in there too will then cover up smells. And I swear I stick those in my gloves, and then my gloves don't smell anymore. Like,
I'm gonna look into that.
I just have to remember to do it, is the only thing. And like, let me be real with you, I'm a very stinky person. I make some smells, so like the fact that these work are pretty incredible, I think. So let's hit up the chat, and you know, let's hear from you guys, like what your thoughts are on gloves. What gloves do you use? What do you think about slough cuffs? And see if you have any questions as far as glove goes for us. Brash says my knee pads smell like gauges after events. It's awful.
Nothing smells better than Vibrams.
For stinky stuff that can't be washed, spray with cheap vodka and let it air dry.
So
It's
vodka,
True.
Makes
Vodka
sense. Disinfectant.
or-
You can also spray it with Lysol.
Lysol. So I learned this. So I recently started doing jujitsu, and the gi and the uniforms and stuff is an odor that you are not ready for, because it's not just your odor. You're kind of rolling in a soup of other people.
You don't need to knife.
Yeah. Either way, vinegar, like a couple caps full of vinegar,
Yeah.
no smell will survive that.
Interesting.
The bacteria is what's causing the spell, so you got to kill the bacteria.
Funny story. This is a horrible story. I'm gonna tell it. I don't give a shit. This is our show. My mother taught me this, that if you were going on a date and you thought you might be getting lucky and you want to smell really, really good, you dose your bits with vinegar and then wash it off in the shower, and it gets rid of all the bacteria and you smell great.
Interesting.
Just throwing it
I'm
out
not
there.
going to try that anytime soon. I'm just not, but I believe you wholeheartedly.
I'll stick to soy sauce, thank you.
Now this is a trend I can get behind.
Got a whole
Oh my
trend of
God.
people putting their bits
I love
in
anime.
Worcestershire sauce.
If you don't salt your balls, what are you doing?
So Georgia and the Giant Peach says, is that Georgia? They say STX lacrosse gloves. I keep the cuffs on because it has the cinch string, which has kept me from yeeting my gloves. That makes sense. That is Georgia.
Mhm.
Hi, Georgia. So just a fun story here. Where were we? At Genon. Georgia was fighting in the ditch, and I kept shouting at her. I was like, Georgia, hit him with your red soul, Georgia. And like she kept fucking up because she was laughing so hard every time I shouted at her. It was a good time. Let's see. What's our next safety equipment we want to talk about?
Well, we were talking about sun protection. We can talk about how we address that, or we can go to one of the more core pieces of equipment.
Let's do it by most important. Let's go knee pads next.
There you go. I like that.
Knee pads.
Oh, I got a hot take for this
These wear
one.
knee pads.
Start with your hot take.
I don't wear knee pads. I never have worn knee pads. This is that Techknowe. You just said that you have made it this long and never had an injury.
No, I've had injuries. I just don't have any permanent injuries.
Got it. I do. My knees are absolutely jacked up, and it's because I would fight indoors, especially. This is an issue. If you have an indoor gym, wear knee pads. It's not optional.
If you have an indoor gym, don't take legs.
Don't take legs.
Die.
Posting from now on.
Posting.
Post from now on. But
We
I
call
never wore
leg
knee
on death, which means you only take legs
Yeah.
if it would kill you.
Leg
Yep.
on death, yeah.
Those are the trailer park rules.
Or even
Leg
better,
was
even better
fancy.
than leg on death. Tisco legs. Tisco taught me this, and it's brilliant. So we're a little tangent here, but it's worth it. Tisco legs is if you leg somebody while you're, and this is for sparring. This is not like anything competitive, but you're sparring. You hit somebody in the leg. Okay, they are posting until you back off. So if we're fighting and I hit you in the leg and then I take a step back to kind of reevaluate, your leg is healed. So the only exception to that is if I arm you, or if you arm me in the process. So if I'm armed and you're legged, you have to stay, the leg is there because I lost an arm to do that.
That's a good advanced technique. Newbies are going to have a problem with it.
Yeah, newbies are going to screw that up. But like, it's brilliant because then you're not in a situation where you're just sniping legs and like, taking cheap wins and stuff like that. It's like the leg is serious. The leg is a target. We're not going to forget about our legs when we're building muscle memory, but but it's also not going to like just define the fight. As soon as you back off, that leg is healed, and you get to start learning again. Anyway, sorry, big tangent there. Tisco legs.
So I would rather wear knee braces over knee pads at this point, but I've heard paintball knee pads work really well. I've heard roller derby was a good one. That's one that if I was still wearing knee pads, I would probably try roller derby knee pads. Think about any sport that wrestling is an example of one that you shouldn't use. As a former wrestler, I thought it was a good idea. Consider any sports knee pads that you're going to use and what application they're used in. Wrestling, it's a padded knee pad on a padded surface. It's not going to give you protection that you need. You want something where it's going to be pad and it's ready for concrete, grass, whatever other material you're going to kneel on. And for the love of God, do what I'm telling you, not what I did. Wear them. Actually wear them.
I've worn a lot of different knee pads.
I should have worn a lot of different knee pads.
So in the chat, we're seeing volleyball knee pads. We're seeing paintball knee pads.
Volleyball's a good one tee. Volleyball's a great one.
Roller derby knee pads with the plastic plate removed. Where are we going? What's the best knee pads in you guys' opinions?
So I've worn volleyball knee pads, the slip-on and the Velcro kind, carpenter's knee pads, baseball sliding pads, catcher's guards, just knee braces, and here recently, what I swear by are mountain biking knee pads that have a non-Newtonian pad in them. Ooh. Because they're Lycra. But really, it's all about how fast do you fall when you take a leg, and how does it feel, and how do you move. I don't like volleyball knee pads because whenever I move on them, they slide around. They move on me. And if you take proper care of the Lycra ones that I have, because mine are like a Lycra sleeve with the pad on the outside, I've had them for 6 months or so far, and the only problem is that somebody put them in the dryer. I'm going to stare at her. Yeah. And so the silicone band just dissolved. But they're the most comfortable and best protection I've worn. The best protection I've ever had were catcher's guards, hands down. The
catcher guard days.
Back in the day when we actually had woods battles, some mechs, some catcher's guards, we called them mechs, with leather on the outside. You can eat a dick. I'm coming through whatever's on the ground to get you. I don't care. I can also power slide on the grass if I want to, like a dickhead. But neither here nor there. They're very heavy, but that's maximum protection. The volleyball ones, the ones with the crossover and Velcro, those stay better and hold better. Those back in the day, those were the top tier. I've never tried paintball knee pads, but I've seen Luke's and he does swear by them, and I've seen him do stupid shit on his knees. That all Belagarth related. We'll caveat that if you know Luke. But yeah, the mountain biking knee pads have been my favorite so far. Baseball sliding pads aren't bad. They stay where you put them, but eventually the pad starts to move around, so you have to do some extra sewing because they're not made to take that much damage, especially if you're a highly mobile fighter on your knees. That is really the big thing. How mobile are you on your knees, and how do you fall?
Yeah.
Horus, sounds like you go for the based on the link you posted. It sounds like you go for the paintball knees.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out those just because I've now used them, and I know a lot of people that use them, and our knees have been good for a long time. I mean, I have one bad knee, but it's from an unrelated incident when I was in middle school. Um, and yeah, those volleyball knee, or not volleyball, paintball knee pads are really nice. They have like a Velcro strap on the top, so they stay on a little bit better. They'll like move a little bit sometimes. You got to adjust them back into place, but of ones that move, those are the best that I've ever had. Are these the ones that you just posted? Are these the mountain biking knee pads? I really want to try these. That sounds really
Yep.
cool. Um, yeah, that's like fancy looking too. Also, they're cheaper than the ones that I posted, which is a big plus.
Just like gloves, they're gonna die. They're gone.
Okay.
They're gone. They are an expendable resources. Your knees are not.
Something that I would also point out, if you wear knee pads and you're like you said, they're expendable, but as you wear them, you are taking more force every time you go down. But it's slowly over time. And your knees, as you consistently fight, are adapting to that force. So once it gets to a certain point, they're not really providing protection, you're just hitting your knee. But pretty much for the like good life of your knee pad, they're probably working really well because your knees are adjusted to the knee pad itself. You're always healing and adapting to the stimulus that you provide it. If you wear knee pads for a couple months and then you stop fighting for a couple months, your knee pads are a couple months worn and your knees are not a couple months accustomed then after you come back a couple months. If you take a big break out of fighting, I would recommend you get new gloves and you get new knee pads, especially if it's like a year or more. Like they're just not as protective and you could injure yourself more than you think because they're not protecting you as much as you want them to.
If you always wear knee pads and they go away, you should post for the day, else you're going to be missing skin.
Yeah, that too. And I actually am really bad about it right now. I'm not wearing knee pads because I'm wearing knee braces and my knee pads fit over them, but then they strangle the circulation in my legs. But yeah, if you wear knee braces, my recommendation is also to get knee pads that fit over them. There's no reason you can't wear both. My knee pads are just really tight on my knees, and so are the knee braces that I'm wearing, so I need to get some new ones.
So watch me right now. I'm hitting proceed to checkout with these Dye Precision Performance Paintball knee pads. Place your order. Go. I swear I've spent like $1,000 today. All right, done.
Oh my
On
god.
their way. I bought my hotel for both Keep and Ockfest. I pre-regged for Keep and Ockfest. Now I bought some knee pads, and I also bought some cologne. $1,000 gone. It's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Knee pad wise, personally, I remember the mech days, and I'm assuming it was like this in Belgarth too. In Amtgard, there was like this period of time in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, where just everybody had these catchers mechs on. Everybody. And like, people were just running on their knees at people. It was terrible,
No. Running on your knees happened, but mechs were few and far between.
Really?
I actually adopted them from my knight because he had them in Amtgard. He fought with mechs on. And so I decided to try them, and I mounted armor on them instead. If they're going to be heavy, might as well.
I did the same actually. I had these two huge, like they were plate greaves or shins or whatever, made for like a much bigger person, and I drilled a hole in them and bolted them to my mechs so that I had my knee protection and my armor on at the same time. It was great.
I should find an armor and just have them make a set of leather catcher's guards.
Yeah. Why
have we never had an armorer do that? That would be the best. Knee pads and armor all in one. It'd be great. Somebody get on that in chat.
So we talked about having good footwear, and that's we're not going to go over what shoes we use, but good footwear is important.
I will get Hokas.
Hokas.
Get orthopedics.
Okay.
I just got diagnosed with plantar fasciitis at Genon. Take care of your feet. They will whoop your ass later.
My brother Boomy swears by Hokas. I use Merrills.
Merrills are a
Those
good. Hokas, Merrills, or Ons. Anything that has ortho in front of it and gives you decent traction for field fighting.
Okay. Hocus.
What do I
Learned something new today. Socks. You guys go crazy with your socks?
Breathable
No.
cotton. Yeah.
I wear normal socks.
I
But,
do not.
Feel the same on my feet.
I wear. A friend of mine pointed me out to these socks. Let me see if I can post them in chat. They're not cheap. They're quite expensive, but it's like they're sweat wicking socks. And
Cool.
I've noticed ever since I started wearing them, because like one of my big heat sinks on my body specifically are my feet. Like that's where all my heat comes out. So I had this problem where like I felt like I found them. Here we go. I felt like I was overheating, and I'd take my socks off, and I wouldn't be overheating anymore. But now my shoes smelled disgusting because I wasn't wearing socks. So he showed me they're Under Armour. He showed me these Under Armour socks, and it's like $26 for a 3-pack. But man, do they work! They just keep your feet just a little bit cooler.
Cool.
Than regular socks. I think. What's up, Tech?
The husband just pointed out that for all non-testicular people, cotton underwear helps with heat as well.
Okay.
A lot.
So do
And
booty shorts.
vaginosis.
So we got socks. We got our shins, our knees. We got our vaginosis protection.
We talked about shoes.
We did talk about shoes. We talked.
I wanted to shout out
Shout 'em.
Ultra Lone Peaks too. I really like the Ultra running shoes. I liked Merrill's too. I wore those for a while, but like trail hiking shoes are really good for Belgarth. You're not like getting cleats and stuff if you're gonna shield kick people are a little dicey even if they're rubber. But like trail shoes are kind of normal, and I buy a new pair every 6 months. But I walk in mine too, and then I switch the pair that I'm walking in out for my Belgarth shoes, and then I eventually break through them. But those are really nice. Like I could not believe how much different my sword fighting game was too when my feet stuck on the ground and I wasn't sliding all over the place.
Nice.
I used to swear by Vibrams because I fought barefoot for a while, but they wear out too fast, they're too expensive, and people are going to stomp your toes. But I do the same thing you do with my work boots for my Merrills. I have work boots and fighting boots, and I swap them out.
Yep.
I actually saved. Like I have my boots are saved in Amazon because I'm picky about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Find the pair of shoes you like, buy them
Okay.
frequently.
We're going to get to head armor when we start talking about eye protection. Trust me.
Let's work our way up the body. Cups.
Please wear a cup.
Please wear a cup.
Can we play a video?
Even
Maybe. I know we can play a video if I set it up in advance. Shoot me.
I'll link a video.
Okay. Yeah, link the video.
want.
I can play videos if I set them up in advance, but I think
Yeah,
I don't know how
worry
to do it
about
on the
playing
fly
yet.
yet.
I'll link a video of me getting stabbed in the nuts really hard. I'm wearing a cup, so I'm totally fine. But if I was not wearing a cup, I would have had to go to like the hospital.
That's the video that's playing right now. This is not Horus. This is actually, this guy sucks. He's a piece of shit. His name's Bane. He's banned. But
I know that shield. That's Bane.
Wait, that's an even better video to play. Yeah, that's funny.
But that's Tato blasting him in the balls.
Oh, well deserved.
Let's see if we
Couldn't
can
have
play
happened to a better guy.
It's so good. I don't know why it's not playing the sound, but with the sound, it's perfect. Any specific cup? Does it matter? Is there a specific brand?
So I have been hearing really good things about Nutty Buddy recently. It's, you laugh, but like if you look it up, this is the one where the CEO and founder is like taking 90-degree like pitching machine fastballs
Jesus.
to he's just sitting there like, I'll stand behind my product, and then just eats one. So Nutty Buddy's really good. I've sworn by Shock Doctor up until this point. This is kind of one of those things that any of them, like it's kind of like gloves, anything, right? Because it's not just like a funny, oh, it's fine, I don't want to have kids, like as unfunny as that joke is. There's like eye injuries. There is no such thing as like I only kind of injured my genitalia. Like there is no half measure here. It's going to be a really catastrophic and traumatic injury.
Yeah, I've had like the same cup for almost a decade now. It doesn't really matter. Just wear a cup. Having a piece of plastic in between you and getting rammed by a red sword is so worth it.
I have worn the same cup as when I fought professionally in MMA and as a boxer. And I've carried not the same cup. I've replaced it, obviously, but the same brand, same style of cup through multiple different sports, and it's required.
So it looks like I'm looking for Nutty Buddy. It looks like you can't get them on Amazon, but you go to their website and they seem reasonably priced compared to the other ones. I might have to get some. I'll spend some more money today. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're wild. I've never worked with them personally. I am a Shock Doctor guy all the way. Like I said, those are the ones that I trusted getting kicked in. But Nutty Buddy has been taking off. And then there was one more that has become kind of a big deal within the martial arts community.
While you're looking that up, I want to read the size categories for Nutty Buddy. The hammer, the boss, the hog, the trophy, and Mongo. Those are the size categories.
Yeah. Diamond
awesome.
MMA. Diamond MMA athletic cups.
Okay. So would you say would you prefer Diamond or Nutty Buddy?
I would prefer Nutty Buddy. I think
Okay.
Diamond is if you're looking at Diamond, I would say go Shock Doctor. I just know that Diamond right now is like I said, very popular within those sports right now.
Okay.
Like I said, Shock Doctor is what I will recommend only because it's what I have trusted my jewels with.
Okay. Let's talk about the AFABs and guarding the Virginia. We've none of us have a Tuker, so I don't think we can have any knowledge specifically as far as like vagina protection, but sounds like we have some in the chat we have some discussions as far as like what they're saying show us. I don't know what exactly but it sounds like we have some super interesting options as far as like vagina protection as well. Here's the link for Nutty Buddy. I'm assuming that's what you want me to show you. I'm not going to show you my nuts.
My brain wants to call it a clunge guard.
See, every time you say Nutty Buddy, all I can think of is Nutter Butter.
Dude, and it's funny because if you Google it without like throwing in athletic cups, you're gonna just get a Google response of just all boxes of Nutty Buddy candy bars.
I know, Brazen, you probably should be here. We didn't know that Virginia protection was gonna. Yeah, we fucked that up. So okay, so
mistakes here.
Moving above the waist. Nobody. So one thing I have worn in the past that is still below the waist. Those football pants. I've worn those to some, like, when I know there's going to be some serious close-in fighting, like bridge battles and that kind of stuff. Those are great. They have different, like, pads and stuff on, like, the legs and different parts of the body. They're meant for football. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like those kind of football underpants that have, like, different paddings. They have built-in knee pads. I've worn those
Under
a couple
Armour
times.
Makes them.
Yeah. Those
Under
are
Armour
pretty
makes them. They
fantastic
also make
as well.
chest. They make like the it'll go underneath your actual football pads. Sorry, I played football. They'll go underneath your actual football pads, and they've got them on your chest. So it'll go underneath your actual chest on top as well. It gives you A little bit of padding. It'll be it might be the difference between a bruise and not a bruise.
Let me see. You know what? Are we gonna let's add in our let's see if I can add in our producer here, at least to discuss Virginia protection.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Brazen cam. We're gonna add in the Brazen cam.
The Hayabusa, Hayabusa is one of the best brands that I've used for any type of safety equipment. They specialize in jiu-jitsu, so anything by Hayabusa, I highly recommend.
If you wear an armor legal chest plate, that is probably gonna be enough protection.
Yeah.
If you pad the back of it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because leather on just cloth is gonna hurt more.
I've not really ever had that experience, but
It happens if the gaps at all. I see it with pauldrons more than
Makes
anything
sense.
that have a gap. The sword gets slapped into the pauldron, gets slapped into the shoulder, so now you're getting hit with leather instead of foam.
okay.
Yep.
It looks like Antoinette is dropping a whole bunch of AFAB friendly safety equipment. It looks like a whole bunch that I would recommend if yeah, like these are all great brands.
Heck yeah. All right, Brazen's not able to join us, but missed opportunity on our part. So then, okay, above the waist, kidney belt, anything like that?
I've worn them.
And
If I think that comes down to knowing your body. If you're someone
Yeah.
who your kidneys are weak, wear a kidney belt. Do it all the time. I think that they look really cool as well, and I think that they're awesome. They look awesome. They'll do the job. I don't think they're necessarily required, for sure. But again, that depends on you and how your body is. We're not doctors, and what works for me is not going to work for you or someone listening, or work for Horus or Tech or Tanny.
So also on that note, I actually don't know what sport it's for, but similar to those pants I was talking about that have the built-in padding, you can get a shirt with that same built-in padding. I think it's for football. They have like pads that go down the spine. They have like ribs and you know, they have ribs and kidney protection as well. So that's another option. It's not something that straps to you. It's just a shirt you put on, and those parts are covered. It's a little, you know, I wouldn't wear them for sparring. I wouldn't wear them for just a regular field battle personally. But I think like if I'm going in a castle battle and I remember to put my shirt on, I'll put that shirt on to kind of keep my, so I don't take a liver shot or a kidney shot or something like that.
If I have ever had a new person that expressed any hesitancy to join the game because of how rough, or I'm afraid to get hit, or I bruise easily, I'll find a shirt like that for them. And either through football, lacrosse, whatever sport. And what I have found is it'll give them also just a little bit of extra comp to understand that, hey, if I do get hit, I'm probably not going to get hurt too bad because I have padding on.
Okay.
We used to have this cat out here in Atlanta that would come and fight, and we called him Iron Man because old boy came and fought in almost a full riot suit.
Oh, wow.
Like he was in padding from his head to his toe, like almost riot gear with a fencing helmet on. But I mean, he had a good time. Yeah.
There was a young man that came to Amtgard one time, and this was back in the before times, before appropriation was a thing that we recognize and understand that we shouldn't do. So this guy, he was a white kid, and he had on a full Native American regalia, and he had this bone chest piece that was like all this bone, like bah, 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 over his chest. Right, I know. And this guy Lorax had a big old duct tape two-handed sword and did a little like this and just hit him right in the chest and cracked all the bones on this chest piece. Didn't offer a lot of protection there.
Oh, and I think that this is something that, like an anti-safety equipment, is that if you are wearing any metal jewelry, maybe consider not wearing it for Belgarth. Whether it's a ring or
a knight's chain.
Knight's chain.
I
It
don't wear my
can and will be driven into you or ripped out of you. I've busted
Don't look
somebody's
at me like
finger.
that.
Get that on your
Yeah.
collarbone one time.
Uh-huh.
Nope.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, they look really cool. Wear them as soon as you get off the field. I'm all for it, but on the field, like, it happens. Like, you get hit in the face, you get hit wherever, like and it sucks if that happens to you.
Did you talk about Kai on stream, or were we in the
I
tech
think we
before
might
this?
have been in a commercial or joining, but yeah, I was fighting a guy at the Renaissance Fair, and those swords do not pass. And I did not hit him particularly hard at all. I just hit him in the chest because he left his chest open, and I ripped his nipple ring off, and it was a bloody show. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
I like.
seen it happen through Garb.
Oh,
Yep. Like,
Home sword that passed.
yeah. Seen
Man got
people's
bifurcated
earrings
nipples now.
ripped out of their ears. Like, just take it off, please.
So that brings us to the next piece of safety equipment, I think, for a lot of the AFAB folks is a chest protector. They have some, I think, MMA bras out there. They have full-on just chest pieces that go over the boobies and, keep things safe. When you got a lot of people that maybe have a little bit bigger mommy milkers, like those things hurt when they get hit, and I think adding in some chest protection there is or padded sports bra, as George has said, that might be, a good step to keeping yourself safe there.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe that repeated concussions to the mammaries it does bad things with breast cancer. Yeah.
In terms of neck, we ever have any gorgets? Is that ever an issue?
I was never. Go ahead. Sorry.
Trogdor wore a gorget for a while. It's not a bad idea. I have never really gotten hit in the throat that much. I did get hit in the throat really bad once. That person was trying to hit me in the throat and thought it was kind of funny. And that was not very fun for me. And I was kind of like, I was coughing up blood.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
Words.
I've never really experienced that many throat things, but if you're worried about it, or you're singing for a living or something, wearing a gorget is not a bad idea. It will definitely stop that from being a problem.
If you are going to wear a gorget, get one from a reputable maker. If it is metal, leather is generally speaking enough, especially if you pad it and it's hardened leather. Hardened leather is more than enough armor for our sport if you pad the back of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be as thick as blue foam either. Like the old style camp pad doesn't even have to be that thick. You can go half that thickness and it wonders.
I've never worn a gorget, right? I've heard that they're very good for throat protection. For me, I've always and something we'll discuss more in lifestyle and whatever, I've always been a relatively resilient person. So even with no protection, a throat stab, I'm probably not going to be injured too badly. So a kufia, one of those scarves around my neck, just a little bit of extra padding. Thinking paintball, right? Cover it with some type of heavy clothing item, and that will usually be enough for me. Again, having said that, I know Sir Kyrian wore a gorget for a really long time and still does, if I remember. And a bunch of people swear by it if you're particularly prone to those types of injuries.
A coif that's how it's pronounced, right? Coif, C-O-I-F, or is it pronounced coif? Oh, okay.
No, kufia is the other term would be a shamach.
Gotcha. Okay.
No. We're talking about a chain gorget, a coif, not that. We're talking about not a kafaya, not like a head wrap. We're talking about an actual chain.
That's
thing.
Oh,
that's
I didn't
not
realize
called
that's
a
what
coif.
it's referred to.
Yeah, that's called something else. That's called.
If it's just like a chain hood, that's a coif. If there's a helmet and it's attached to it, that's an aventail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had when I was doing SCA one time, somebody hit me in the throat. My aventail fell, it broke the string that was holding it. It fell off to the side. Did not know. Guy stabbed me in the throat again, and I'm like, oh, whoa, dude! And I kind of got pissed because it's my my equipment was obviously malfunctioning, and like instead of stabbing me there again, you should have maybe said something. That would have been cool. So neck, let's talk face. I've seen some people that have full, we'll get to eyes in a bit, but face wise, you have lots of options here. You have like sports equipment. Again, you could go like hockey helmet, you could go lacrosse helmet, something like that. I've seen there's a fighter, a spear fighter that I've seen that has like a face mask that like guards their face. I don't know what that's.
Are you
called
talking about my helmet that looks like a motocross helmet?
No, it's just face only. It's not a helmet. It's just a face protection.
Like a Mempo. Those were pretty popular in Bell, and I think still are.
Okay.
Some of them, a lot of the ones that I used to build for myself didn't have a lot of padding, so I would never believe that it was going to protect my face too much.
Yeah, Menpo doesn't actually protect your face because it sits on the face, and also it uses the small bones of your nose to hold it on if you're wearing just the Menpo. So all that force is going directly to your nose first and then your chin.
Yeah, if we were concerned about a face injury, I think your best bet for any type of face injury is going to be forgot the fighter in Amp Guard. You might know this, Tanny. Wears like a full blue helmet, full face mat, like grill. I cannot see that as anything other than a good idea if you're particularly prone to face shots or like broken noses. If you feel like the nose bridge is not going to be enough for you, a full helmet with a face grill I think is probably your next best.
Probably they're saying definitely, and actually,
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's
Lily
the one.
wears, and I know Lily's taken some headshots, and their doctor's like, you don't fight unless you're wearing a helmet. Like that's a medically required thing for him.
Yep, lacrosse helmet. That's what it was.
I should get one of those.
I've got one. It works pretty well. I've worn it in some bridge battles and stuff. Like I feel pretty confident taking some serious hits with it.
Every time I get my face fucked up, I'm like, why don't I wear a helmet?
I swear by my helmet because I made mine it is an armor grade helmet. And if you make a thicker than minimum armor grade helmet out of at least, like, I can't remember which way it goes. 8 to 10 is thicker than, yes, just like earrings. 8 to 10 ounce leather, and you build it so that it sits off of your face. That is the best eye protection and head protection I've ever had. Especially if you add a chin strap so the helmet doesn't move when it's hit. If you build a helmet that is armor for DAG, you can build it for armor for real as well. And all helmets for DAG should be built with that, Bell, in my opinion. I need to stop saying dagger here. We don't play that anymore. I don't understand why you would wear a helmet that doesn't actually protect you as well. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I wear no other armor but my helmet.
Yeah. Stops you from getting shot in the face by arrows too. It's great.
Yep.
That's just a bonus. I used to wear a Mylek hockey mask, which was also really, really good. It was an old Jason style hockey mask that had padding on the inside so that and the padding on that mask made it sit on the soccer spot on your head more than anything. So, and it had very good visibility if you want something other than a lacrosse helmet. But yeah, best eye protection I can think of because my eye slits are so small the sword can't get in there. And it looks like a fucking motocross helmet on my face.
Nice. That's another option for helmets, as you meant, is like a Bell legal helmet that you can wear, because you're going to get a game advantage out of that, but you're also going to get the protection that helmet offers. I wear my helmet sometimes when I just am sparring or something like that.
Looks really cool too.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I think Tech had a very good point about Bell legal helmets in regard to that. Like a Menpo is not going to do it. Like if you are building a Bell legal helmet or a game legal helmet for protection, build it for protection. Don't assume it's going to be game, because then you might have a Menpo that it might actually not like minimize the damage. It might actually amplify it, right? Especially like the Menpo Tech mentioned sitting on the small bones of the nose. It's a perfect example. Metal's a good example as well, but it's same thing. If it's sitting in the wrong spot, it's more about construction.
Oh, hell yeah.
That, perfect. It sits away from the face. He's got pretty much his entire head covered in some regard, and it looks like it sits. So if you've ever fit a bike helmet, same thing. I imagine if Tech were to like wiggle his head right now, it wouldn't be just flopping all over the place. Yeah, that's nice. It sits well. It's fitted well. It's not sitting forward, sitting back.
So here's a great hack for helmets. If you got a helmet that's a little big on you, doesn't quite fit your head right or something, and you want to make it work, you can buy U.S. Army helmet inserts, and you know, and like they have these like stickum pieces that then you can Velcro the inserts to, and you can just play with those and get the helmet fitting perfectly. I know a lot of guys in SCA do that.
I use a beanie in the winter and a schmog in the summer. Both provide enough padding that my helmet just sits, or funnily enough, a backwards facing hat.
Yeah.
Because the bill right there, weirdly enough. I haven't felt the need to have to put a chin strap on it yet. But yeah, a beanie or some padding between you and the helmet helps it sit and keeps it off your face.
So somebody was asking where you could pick these helmets up. Brazen's going to shoot them some links and stuff. And anybody have like a favorite artisan they want to shout out to that makes helmets?
Thumbs is a great person to go to.
Thumbs.
They make Mandalorian style helmets, which I think are out of this world.
Cade.
I was about to say Cade is another great one. It's been around for a really, really long time. I don't think Forkbeard's doing it anymore, but their work has kind of stood for a long time.
Benchwork leather.
Benchwork leather is a good one.
Roland.
I will not make you a helmet like mine. I will never make another helmet in the ass.
Rowan. Forgot about Rowan. Rowan's another really good one.
Eye protection. Let's, you know, I know helmets will have a lot of built-in eye protection, you know, and whatnot, but let's say you're not wearing a helmet. What's some good eye protection?
I should swear by the... That's not eye protection, pretty lady. Misty swears by the bar goggles. I've seen her wear them. I've seen a lot of people wear those. I don't know what sport they're from, but I've seen somebody said bless you.
Thank you.
But I don't know where they get them from. I don't know what they are, but those little eye cages seem to be pretty good, especially with the padding around the edges for just straight eye protection.
No visibility hit, because I have some that if I remember to bring them, I wear them. No visibility hit, no added heat, because it's just a cage. All the heat escapes, you know. Definitely worth it, I think. Anything else? Any other safety equipment that we need to call out?
Anything with your eyeglasses? Anything what you're going to be looking for is anything that's ANSI 78 Z87. Yeah, ANSI Z87 or Z87 Plus. Anything within those, I think you're going to be. But yeah, Z87.
I need to find some of those in snow goggles so I can mount them on the inside of this.
Nice. Oh, that'd be cool. Any?
Who said mouth guards? Mouth guards are really good too.
Mouth guards, I think are. Sorry, go ahead.
Also, wrist wraps.
Yeah.
Wrapping your wrists is really good for Bagar. I don't know. Aim guard probably doesn't matter as much, but in Bagar there's a lot more like hitting other people, and if people like wrench your wrist really hard, it really sucks. If you wrap your wrists, they won't get wrenched nearly as hard. You won't mess your wrists up as much.
Mouth guards I have so much experience with, and it is why I feel at my getting headbutted twice, I did not leave there with a concussion and need to sit up. I was probably still mildly concussed, but I was still on my feet and I was still relatively okay. Mouth guards they serve two purposes. They're supposed to keep you from biting your tongue, which most people know. One of the things most people don't know is they also put your jaw in the correct place so it's called setting your jaw. It automatically sets your jaw for you, which is if you're going to take any impact to the head, the one thing that'll make any impact to your head worse is your hitting itself. So if you set your jaw, you get a good set jaw in the mouth guard, you can take pretty much anything to the head within reason, and you have a better chance of getting the other side of it. So mouth guards, especially if you're concerned about concussions or susceptible to concussions, it puts your jaw in the right spot to try to minimize the damage.
Important to note, we're going to be posting links for a lot of this protective equipment to the Facebook page, the Bench Facebook page. So people tuning in, listening, you can jump in and see these links for all this equipment we're talking about. It's going to be there for you. Any last minute equipment? Anything we missed?
Hats. Wear a big
Hats.
flop. Again, we talked about sun protection, Tanny. Like sunscreen, get a big floppy hat, and I think a kufiya is it. When you get your gloves, when you get your knee pads, you should be buying your first kufiya or shemagh, whatever you call it. I feel like that's just a bell staple. We've discussed now where I said I felt like it was really good padding for the neck. Techknowe literally mentioned it as a method to can make sure that their helmet fits properly. It's fantastic sun protection. It's something that you should have if you're getting into airsoft paintball or Belagarth or Boffer. Get yourself a kufiya. Big floppy hat, it'll keep hair any way you can keep sun off of the top of your head.
All right, we're running low on time here, so we're gonna try to cruise through this. Best practices to prevent injuries. Stretch.
Don't fight when slightly injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't fight slightly injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't fight. The percentage that you're going to get into an accident does not diminish.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage that the accident is going to affect you for the rest of your life goes up greatly if you're already injured or slightly injured or you twisted your ankle yesterday. This is something I have to yell at people all the time. I hear fight through the pain. No.
Mm-mm.
If you have a small pain in your hand right here, you have a boxer's fracture starting. Go sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it doesn't bother me when I fight. That's because the adrenaline's pumping, dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. Use the opportunity when you're injured to play Belagarth in a different way.
Yeah.
Did you make a tunic? You played Belagarth today. Did you do some admin work for your realm? You played Belagarth today.
Mm-hmm.
Find other branches in our community to stretch your Belagarthness when you're injured.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the injury time is for.
Yep. And
So
if you feel something when you're fighting, you're doing whatever, and you're like, that feels weird, just stop. You can come back to practice next time. I bet you won't even remember. You'll come back to practice, everything will be totally fine. Next practice, next day at the event.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep going, you're going to injure yourself, and then you're going to be out for a month. You're going to be out for 2 months. You're going to be out for 6 months.
You're gonna be out
Just
for
stop.
life.
It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. That was number one. Number one on my list was listen to your body. Something I did not do in my 20s, and I definitely do now. When your body says don't, you listen. That's why it's telling you to stop.
There is a 5% rule in place when it comes to this. So the reason why a lot of people can be, and we were talking about this earlier, Tanny, where like, are you saying that going to the gym is going to help you prevent injury? Yes and no. Really, it's doing the activity, moving your body, using your body as your body was intended. So a bunch of people are mentioning stretching, and I think that that's fantastic advice. I'm never going to tell someone that they shouldn't stretch, but too many times people are like, you should stretch. All right, I stretched. I did what I'm supposed to do. No, you didn't actually work anything, right? Like if you consider like the idea like you can't sit on the floor very well, if that's an issue that you have, sit on the floor more, work on your hip flexors, you should have very targeted stretching. You should have a good warm-up that you get into before you start working. Like I mentioned, there's a 5% rule. So after you finish a good day of fighting, basketball, lifting, whatever your workout is, if you are sore and you feel like that was a good workout, you're not sore, you're not dead the next day, the next time you go out, you should only increase that by 5%, right? So let's say you got 10 good fights in at practice. The next practice you come out, you're like, I felt really good at that point. This is awesome. You should only go up in fights by 5%. That's how you will keep your body building, because any of the safety equipment that we're talking about, wear your safety equipment for your safety, but you work on it and your lifestyle is going to determine whether or not you get hurt because of the strength that you build. And you do that by increasing 5% of what your capacity is.
You're also more likely to injure yourself by over sparring than fighting on an event field.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most common.
Yeah.
Like all these knees, shoulders, like the shoulders and the elbows, that's mostly repetitive motion injuries. That's mostly you have fought your friend for an hour in the yard because you thought it was fun and y'all are practicing a shot, and you've done nothing but grind your shoulder bone down in that one spot. Like, you have a longer break during a respawn battle or a single death battle to recover from that intense activity than you do when you're sparring. Because what do you do when the spar's over? You raise your sword, you spar again the next 3 seconds.
Yep.
You're just tenderizing yourself.
Keep doing it forever. Also, please don't do what I do at events and fight from dusk till dawn and like just never stop and then have like wonder why your shoulders hurt for 3 months afterward. Yeah, that's not good for you.
This brings up a concept I wanted to ask. Do you guys, anyone here, do you guys feel like Bagar fighters, boffer fighters, do you feel like we are athletes or we should consider ourselves as such?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think a lot of people say that, oh, we're not athletes, and I can understand that idea, but we put ourselves in a lot of athletic positions. And I feel like when people say, well, we're not athletes, these are the same folks that will, and I mean no disrespect, will go to work driving or sitting at a desk, come home and play video games, or have a sedentary lifestyle of some type, and then they will come out to fight and they will assume that they're going to perform just like Jon Snow running across the battlefield, and it's just not going to work that way. What we're talking about with lifestyle, your outputs are determined by your inputs. If you are not working out, if you are not having a good diet, if you don't have a general plan as to how my lifestyle is going to be healthy, the way you perform on the field is going to suffer, and your proneness for injury is going to suffer.
Yes. Please do stuff outside of Belgarth. It's probably more important than the actual Belgarth to your Belgarth fitness too. Your skill will come as you continue to fight, but your body will only function as well as your body functions, and lifting weights, walking, running, really walking, really important. Like, keep your body working well and it'll serve you better and you will have less chances of getting injured. I want to talk about stretching, go back for 1 second, because stretching right before you fight is like good, get your mobility or whatever, but like that's not the important time to stretch. Stretching is like lifting weights, but for your tendons. You need to do it every day and you need to do it forever. Like every morning, just wake up and stretch. I'm not kidding. Like that's the thing that most people lose faster. Your muscles will deteriorate when you're over 65 and whatnot, but everyone knows someone, and including everyone I'm sure sitting here, who's not as stretchy as they were when they were a kid.
I'd hope to avoid dirty looks from my partner tonight. Thanks, Horus.
But yeah, stretch every day. It's like look up what to do and just stretch a little bit. It takes forever to get stretchy. Don't feel bad. Don't think like, I don't see any progress. Like, it'll take like 2 months before you feel like really stretchier, and you'd be like, wow, I can touch my toes again. It's incredible. And then once you do that, it's so easy to keep up. I mean, I can like almost do the splits now. And all I do is every morning I do a split stretch or a split squat stretch, knee over toe. Like, it's so easy. It's so worth it. It's like, please stretch, but do it every day, like as part of your routine. Just a little bit. It takes a minute.
It was
2 stretches on both legs or whatever.
Building on that, it was mentioned in chat, yoga and Pilates. Say, however you get into a good stretching habit. For me, it was yoga. I love doing yoga. It's something that I can get out of bed every single morning and do yoga. It's just easy for me. So it's easy to stick to that program, especially after, if anyone knows from out west, Catabus, the yogi and Pilates instructor. I have seen Catabus on the field, like take a death or take a shield bash or get hit in a way, and I've watched them crumple on the field to where I almost called hold. And then I ran up and Catabus popped up and was like, yeah, it was a good shot, and just ran away. And I was like, your knees, the human knee is not supposed to bend that way. But on Catabus they do, because to what Horus was saying, stretches every single day.
Really helps.
Yep, that and running, I think. Sir Melanin at one point told me, I was like, oh, you want to be a better fighter? Cool, go run. And I was like, yeah, but they're like, no, until your cardio is fixed, you're not going to be a good fighter.
I do want to caveat that, like, if you've not run before, please don't just go try to run even a mile. Like, I'll say this forever, but like, please just go walk. Like, take 30 minutes. If you can do an hour, even better. Walk a couple miles every day. You'll be so happy for it. After you've done that for a couple months, start running or do couch to 5K. Do something to slowly ease yourself into it if you're going to do these things. But even if you just go walk, it helps so much.
This comes back to that 5% build rule. You should always be willing to start where you are. If it means that, hey, I'm in awful shape and standing up for me is difficult, then you stand. If I can't run and walking is better, then you walk. And you do whatever you can until you're rocking out burpees for time. Like,
there's
do whatever you can.
A beautiful TikToker that has a whole bunch of body weight exercises where he breaks down. Here's the advanced, but here's what you do instead if you can't do that to work up to doing this. So don't know what his name is, but he's probably easy to Google somehow or another. But he's very positive and his shit looks gold.
Nice.
As far as push-ups, pull-ups, things like that. Basic
I have another exercise that I think is the best for fighting performance, but even more important for Tech. Got a really bad hit. So it's great for performance, but it's probably the best I've ever seen for injury prevention, which is what we're discussing, because it increases bone density every time you do it. It's jumping rope.
Yeah, that's
jump rope a couple times a week, because running is good, but the statistic that I had heard was that about 10 minutes of jumping rope has the same cardiovascular impact as about 30 minutes of running.
It's also the GOAT exercise for footwork, for fast feet.
It's the GOAT. It creates fast feet, it ups your VO2 max, and it increases your bone density, which, if you don't know, bone density is what's going to determine how good you are at preventing injuries. For example, archaeologists at one point, when it was first discovered, like the medieval world, archaeologists felt like they had discovered mutants. They discovered bones that were misshapen and bones that looked like they clearly had come from animals of some type, or giant animals is what they thought, and these things that are clearly not human. Nowadays, we know them to be old school medieval archers that were pulling these back, and they were doing strength training every single day that would build their bone density, and they were doing resistance training. What it meant is that they never injured their upper body. These same skeletons don't have issues with shoulders. Like, they're sitting here holding a bow back all day, every day. Their bones were misshapen, their muscles were huge.
One arm is longer than the other.
One arm is probably longer. So, if you didn't know, yeah, those archers, the best physiques in history, historically.
Any final thoughts on our topic? I know we're after time, so we got to wrap soon. Any final thoughts on health and safety? Anything you wanted to get out there? Now's your chance.
I think you can do it without lifting weights.
Okay.
And I think that's what a lot of people get really bummed out about when we talk about lifestyle and fitness. They're like, I don't want to go to the gym, and fitness bores me, and this and that. You can accomplish what I think that we are trying to get you to accomplish by going for a hike, by playing pickleball. In my case, I started doing jiu-jitsu to try to get this done, because I get it. Going to the gym can be very intimidating for folks. I think that if you're involved in any type of like fasting program, which is what I do a lot, I think you need to be doing strength training of some type. But other than that, it's optional. And if you are intimidated by the idea of getting into a fitness program, it does not have to look like your traditional dude bro program. You can do it with good physical activity and a relatively healthy diet.
If the only physical thing you've ever enjoyed doing in your life is sword fighting, get a Pell.
Mm-hmm.
And slow Pell work with heavier weapons than you would normally use on the field. That's deliberate. That is exercise. There are plenty of SKBC Pell videos, plenty of them. Do those deliberately and using the 5% rule, up your weight. and that will build the muscles you are trying to build without going to the gym.
I do want to shout out going to the gym. Even if you don't like go to a gym, lifting weights is, and strength training in general. I mean, yeah, we can all do the flex off, but
Nope.
like
It
is going to help a lot with injury prevention.
Mhm.
It is going to help a lot with your general strength. It's going to improve your fighting a lot, and it's something that's also going to help you from a life perspective, help you not lose your muscles as fast as you get older. It's going to help your bones a lot as you get older. Like it's very, very good for you to lift weights. When I was lifting weights, and I don't know if people saw me at Oktoberfest, people were like, wow, Horus, you're really jacked or whatever. I had 2 dumbbells. That's all I was using. Like I had those Bowflex ones. You can like change the dial on them. Like if you got some money, it's cheaper than a gym membership, just as good. Like lift some weights. You don't have to go crazy. Just like I said, go walk with your lifting weights too. Just slowly increase what you're doing. It's well worth it.
I think that to double down on that, when I say things like anything that increases your bone density, lifting weights will do that so fast, simply because of how you lift weights and how the shear force applies to the bone. It's going to increase bone density. So when I say, oh, lifting weights is optional, I mean, I know at least so many people that I've said exactly what we've just said, and they'll be like, yeah, but I'm like nervous about my body and I don't want to be amongst and it stops people from starting. And it's a position that I was in, especially coming back from Chicago. I did my Nike's trial in the best shape I've ever been in my entire life, and ever since then slowly declined. And then coming back to it was very difficult because I felt embarrassed or whatever. So you can do it without going to a gym, or you can at least start out without going to a gym. What I think you need to look for, especially with an eye towards injury prevention, is what is going to increase my bone density. Better bones, the better your lack of injury. Again, weightlifting is the only thing or is the best thing to do it, for sure.
So one thing I'd like to shout out as far as like, gym, people in the gym and gym bros and stuff like that, is a lot of the people out there that are just absolutely jacked and obviously spend a lot of time in the gym. They're honestly really nice. They look super intimidating. These are some of the nicest people that you'll meet. And like, you can go up to them and ask them like, hey, I have, if they don't have headphones in, that's kind of like the thing. If they have headphones in, leave them alone. But, if they don't have headphones in, you could probably ask them questions and they're more than happy most of the time, to help you out there. I think it's like the teenagers, like the teenagers with the curly hair. Those are the guys that are kind of jerks at gym that I found. But like, people go in there and they're like, people go in there that are, maybe like smaller framed or maybe, are kind of medically overweight or something like that, or just, or maybe a small person, that most of the time would have this discomfort around being in the gym and thinking, are people going to laugh at me or something like that? They're not. As a gym rat myself, when I see somebody that is probably their first time in the gym, I'm celebrating them and I'm cheering for them. And I'm so happy you're here. And like, and I'm outgoing. I've gone up to people and been like, hey, you're killing it. Keep it up.
Yeah. Every time I'm like, hell yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, the happiest I'll ever be in the gym is if I see someone who looks like they're struggling and like looks a little insecure walking into the gym, and they do the treadmill for the first 2 weeks. I literally saw someone today. They did a treadmill for the first, another time. They've been doing it for 2 weeks. Every time I've been there, I've seen them. And they keep coming back. And I remember thinking, I was like, fucking yeah. I hope next week they're starting to look at weights, and that'll be the natural progression for you. Right. And that's why I say I don't think going to the gym is necessarily required. I think starting is required. I think finding something to move your body, if it's yoga, if it's hiking, if it's pickle, if it's whatever, I think you're going to end up at the gym. You're going to find yourself there. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. It's the best thing you can do for your bones. It's the best thing you can do for your performance, confidence, everything. And I think people just, I agree with you, Tanny. And I think that some of the dude bros and the muscle guys are some of the nicest people. I think it comes from a personal place with a lot of folks. that I've noticed that have had issues going to the gym, I feel like I'm being, it has nothing to do with these. Some of these guys are some of the nicest people on the planet of Earth.
They'll have body
Got nothing to do
dysmorphia.
with
That's why they're there in the first place.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And also anybody who's like, wow, yeah, look at that person, they suck.
Mhm.
Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
You don't fucking like them anyways. They're a jerk. Like, who cares what they think? Like,
Yep.
you are where you're at. Start where you're at. Start walking. Lift the weight. Where you end up, you'll be blown away.
I think if you do it for an eye towards being healthy and not just preventing injury for it, the funny byproduct of, you shouldn't do it to prevent injury. You should do it to lead a healthy life and consider how I'm going to feel picking up my niece and nephew at 45, 50, 60, being able to live a healthy lifestyle without hindrance. You're going to prevent injuries in your hobby a lot more. It's a natural byproduct of it.
Yeah.
You know, the people that gym rats are making fun of are the people that have a little bit of a swole going on, and they're ego lifting and moving really fast, and they have bad form, and they think they're hot shit. That's who we're making fun of. We're not making fun of new people. We're celebrating new people. You know.
No, never.
As far as you know, and we've got a panel of 4 people that have boy bodies here. You know, as far as like people that were assigned female at birth, that have different needs than we might have. I'm certainly not an expert in that, but Brazen is going to be posting some links as far as like, you know, as far as like supplements, dietary recommendations to help with things like that. Definitely something to check out.
If I am not, like you said, I'm by no means an expert on this. However, my partner is 4'11", massive scoliosis, has a lot of concerns when it, not just AFAB, but then the scoliosis, a couple things where they need to be very careful about how they work out. So at some point I might try to get some pieces of advice from her and try to post that if possible, because I think that her input, it would also be super invaluable to a lot of folks in Bell who deal with similar things of just maybe a body that doesn't agree with them 100% of the time.
Sounds like we have a you know, we're gonna do it sounds like we're gonna do a Brazen show at some point and kind of showcase these things. I'm all for it. Last thought of the day here. What are we doing next week? I want to throw out there, I want to do the grind and talk about the grind to being a good fighter, the grind to being a warlord, the grind to being a knight. I want to put P1 and Abu on here. How do we feel
That'd
about
be
that?
fun. I love it.
I think that'd be good.
If they're available for it, let's do it. We'll do next week. We're gonna do the grind with P1 and Abu. I also want to do something fun. I want to do a contest of some kind, and we'll figure out a prize. I want everybody to do their best WWE professional wrestling promo, as if they were a fighter, you know, for, let's say, for Ockfest, that they're gonna get in there and they're going, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna slay everybody and whoop their ass, you know. Do we know what we're talking? Do you know what I'm talking about with the WWE
Oh
promo?
yeah, the Macho Man
Oh,
is coming for you, brother.
I want everybody listening, involved, whatever, whoever wants to do it, put your best WWE wrestling promo of you going to Ockfest and you're going to whoop everybody's ass. Brazen saying it doesn't resonate. I think it's going to be fun. I'm going for it.
Not
Let's do
everything's for everyone.
And if I'm the only one that makes one, that's fine with me too.
right
You're going to
behind you.
Ockfest. You're going to whoop everybody's butt. Make a wrestling promo, and let's see what we get. And send me a YouTube link. Send me a YouTube link on Facebook, and you know, and then I'll play the best couple. You know, we'll play the best couple on here and figure out some kind of prize or something. That's the plan. Also, go to Ockfest. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah, go to Ockfest.
Yeah.
Go to Ockfest. I've actually also
Oh,
got two shout outs for you.
Let's hear 'em.
Monster Mash, go this weekend.
Go to Monster Mash.
It's Iowa. It's an event happening this weekend. Go there if you can. And then Heroes Forge and Dragonspire out of Indiana next weekend. So if you can't make Monsters Mash this weekend, go to Dragonspire for Heroes Forge next weekend.
Random shout out for other adjacent activities. There is on August 24th, there is a pay-per-view steel match coming out of Nashville that has a lot of so Belagarth and Ampgard are the Pee Wee League of pro steel fighting now. And the more we pay-per-view and go watch it and have parties, like it's a cool boxing match, the more people are going to be interested in our sport and want to come play. So August 24th, if anybody checks my profile, you can see it there. I'll try to see if I can put one in the main Belagarth page to blow it up and advertise there. But it's just like boxing in a cage with points, and invite your friends that don't like sword fighting so you can explain why that guy's getting his ass whooped. Because if you're a sword fighter, your eye speed will see the headshots and everything else, and it's a blast to watch.
I want to thank
a good friend of Pro Fight. Yeah,
I want to thank Sir Roland the Monarch. I want to thank Technopop, and or otherwise known as however you pronounce it.
I'll hold a class on how to say my name one day.
That's fair. And as always, I want to thank my co-star Sir Horus, and I want to thank our co-producer and executive vice grip Brazen. Join us next week. Thank you for watching The Bench. Let's see if I don't blow your ears out this time.